Welcome to the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast. Tune in every Thursday as we share inspirational stories from the world's greatest creators, entrepreneurs, and go-getters about how they've turned life's lemons into lemonade. And now, here's your host of Lemonade Stand Stories, Sharon Prabhakar.
What is going on, guys? This is Sharon Prabhakar with the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, and I'm here today with a man who just barely announced that he has ADD, and so we're going to focus him in on training the squirrels. Just kidding. No. Right across from me is Russ Warner. And I had the pleasure of meeting Russ at Fan X this year, right? Last year, or something like that, right?
Yep.
Because, and I have to give a little bit of background because it was just so amazing. So I am an actor and producer, and I produced a movie called Alien Country. And the star of our movie is a guy by the name of Casey Clyde, who's a great, great friend, and he's a fantastic actor. One day, Casey started talking to us about longboards. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I love longboarding. But then he posts on his Instagram this picture of the coolest longboard I've ever seen called a ghost board. And it had this really rad design of one of our aliens from Alien Country on it. And I'm like, what is this board? And I must have one immediately. And he's like, oh yeah, dude, they're ghost boards. And he started talking to me all about them. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't even know this existed. So I looked it up and I was blown away by this board company because, I have owned a Sector 9 a long time ago and I never really rode it. And but I was looking, I love board sports. And so I was like, okay, I need to find something new. And then somehow or other, we linked up and then you had boards selling at FanX and they were the hottest items. I remember people didn't care about our movie at all, but they cared about the ghost boards. I'm like, dang it, who is the mastermind behind these ghost boards, Anyway, then I got to meet your daughter who came out and was fixing all these boards up and selling them. And then you came out and we got to meet up and I was like, dude, I want to just live in your brain for a little bit and just see how things are going. But Russ, thank you so much for...
I wanted to show up at FanX. I just wanted to see all the crazy, weird people.
There were some wild ones, right?
You get people dressed up like everything. So I was like, I don't know what this movie is.
Yeah.
I got this alien on a board and what the heck.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go check it out. And the thing was it's so cool to see your story and I remember kind of picking your brain a little bit and thinking in the back of my head, I've got to have him on the podcast because your story is so cool. The Lemonade Stand Stories podcast is all about people's lemonade stand stories, how they built their businesses and all that stuff. And I want to definitely get into ghost boards, but you owned a mortgage company before, right? Is that your path?
Yeah, so quite a few different things. Yeah, I owned a mortgage company, then I worked for a mortgage company, and then helped run a mortgage company. And
wow,
in the meantime, I've always loved being an entrepreneur since I was a little kid.
So tell me about some of those little jobs that you did.
I grew up and I'm one of those typical poor kids that grew up with divorced parents, and my mom would go to work at 6 a.m., come home at 11 o'clock at night. So as a kid from a poor family, if you want a pair of jeans or you want something to eat, you had to go figure that out. So I started I owned a candy company in elementary and junior high. I sold chocolates and suckers to the hospital and door to door. Yeah, I was just an entrepreneur. I was making a couple $100 a week so I could have clothes and food.
Wow. Yeah. So you had to be an entrepreneur to survive.
Yeah. It was more of a survival mode than anything. And then I started a lawn care business and in middle school, I was collecting cans, collecting newspapers and doing whatever it took to earn money all through it. When I got into high school, I followed the path of my mom. So working 2 jobs, I would get out of high school at 10:30. I'd be to work until one job till 6 and go to the other job till midnight.
Oh my gosh. When did you sleep? Did you sleep?
Yeah, no. In high school, you didn't need a lot of sleep.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, it was all fun. I just worked. And then in college, I worked so much, I didn't even know there's such thing as an ACT. So I didn't know you had to have this to go to college. I didn't know anything about college. None of my family ever did college. So it was kind of okay, friends are going to college. Well, I guess, what can I do? And so I decided to pick UV. It was called UVCC at the time.
I remember what it was UVCC.
Yeah, and they would let me in without good grades, and they'd let me in without ACT. So I started there, and I always found work a little bit more important to me. Still for survival mode, and so I still worked 2 jobs in college. I owned a chemical company and I owned a landscaping business. And I was making more money. I went to UVCC, then saw the community, then University of Utah. And I did college about 7.5 years and never really liked anything. Everything the business teachers were telling me, oh, this is how a business is done. I'm like, have you ever owned a business? I own two. What do you know about it?
Right.
And they really didn't know. They just want to be the professors. And so
it was interesting because what they would be presenting are the theories almost.
Yeah, it was all theories.
Right?
Yeah.
But you realized from practical application, that was like a totally different thing.
Yeah, totally. It was all about sales. It was all about work hard. It was all about not being lazy. That was always my philosophy is you got to just do it because there's nothing else going to push you to do it unless you do it on your own. Yeah. So I dropped out of, my brother said, hey, you need to get a real job. You need to get a white shirt and a tie and grow up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I bought this house and I got in the mortgage business and just said, okay, whatever. He kind of throws you in. It's 100% commission too. It's like being self-employed.
Were you passionate about it? Like, did you like doing mortgages and stuff?
I like money. So
great.
All
right.
Yeah. I didn't know about it at the time. It was like, he'd say, here's a phone book. Start with the letter A and call people and see if they want an interest rate of 7.75%. So I started with the last name of A. And so my first 50 loans I ever closed started with A.
Wow.
Abrams.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I just kind of jumped in that and I really just went full board into building a mortgage company and hiring and that's where my life really kind of got taken over. I started working also again till like midnight or 1 a.m. in that business and flying around the country till Tuesday to Fridays and started just becoming a weekend dad. And I wasn't having any fun.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like you traded your time in for money, but literally the time that you could have been spending with family and kids and the things that would have been fun for you was robbed from you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think people do that. They get in work and it's the survival. You got to make money. And you tell yourself, well, you're doing it for your family. You're doing it for your kids. And my kids started to get annoyed with me. Like, I'm not a part of their life. I'm just a weekend dad. I'm only going to their soccer games or football games on the weekend. And I wasn't there. And all I was doing was work, and it hit me one time. My son said to his teacher, they asked what your dad does for a living. He goes, I don't know. I think he lives on a plane. And it was my life. And so, vacation for me was staying home, having a glass of milk and a PBJ. I mean, I didn't want to have steak. I didn't want to, I just want a peanut butter jelly sandwich and some Cheetos. I mean, that was like,
that was it.
Yeah,
right.
That was it. And you get caught up in life saying to yourself and lying to yourself, hey, I'm doing this for the family. I'm doing this for my kids. That's why I'm working so hard.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it, it doesn't matter because you're doing it for them.
That's such an interesting philosophy, right? My stepdad said that a lot. My stepdad, when my mom and he were married for maybe 5-6 years, and he had his own set of emotional problems and stuff he was dealing with. But so much of his life, like, he wasn't available for us. And he's like, well, I'm doing all these things for you guys. And that was his narrative. Yeah. And that's what he had convinced himself. But at the same time, he was so absent from our lives. And so it's an interesting thing to get into that trap. How did you realize like you were really in that trap though?
I got in that trap and it's like any addiction. Work has always been my addiction because I learned it from my mom at a really young age of, there's no one's going to help you. So you just have to work all the hours you possibly can for survival. And so I grew up with that was my training is you do whatever it takes. You work till midnight. You don't do things. You don't watch TV. You don't play because that time you could be working. You could be making money.
Yeah.
And you get married and you have children and they're like, they start bringing that reality to you. So, when they start asking you put down your phone. Can you put your phone down? Can you, look at me? Can you listen to me? Mm-hmm. And you're like, yeah, I am listening. And, that one song of, Cat in the Cradle, the silver spoon is a true thing. I think for a lot of people is, one day I'll play ball with you. And, you do get so busy in your career trying to grow it really fast. When you go through your 20s and 30s, you think, hey, I have to kill it during this time.
Right.
This is when I have to be successful. This is when I have to be able to provide everything for my kids and family and start thinking about how I'm going to retire. And that hits you. And I woke up thinking, man, I'm not having fun anymore. And
When was this, would you say?
I was probably in probably close to my 40s, probably 38, 37, 38, somewhere right in there. I was
So
just
you're married, kids, all that stuff, and you're like not having fun.
Yeah, and I go, God, I got to change professions. This business is burning me out. I'm not having fun. I'm grumpy with people, and I'm grumpy with my kids, and I can't go on vacation without just being on my phone the entire time. And so they look at me like, are you going to come on vacation, or are you just going to work with us in San Diego or Hawaii?
Yeah.
And that was a hard transition for me, and it still is. I'm still working on, I do therapy with a therapist to talk about how you make sure you have that balance. And it's been a real thing for me. I'd say it's been my addiction because it was trained into me so hard. And so later on, instead of changing professions, I did change companies, started doing some other stuff for the other mortgage companies, having a lot of fun, and said, I'll go to a smaller company instead of this big giant one that I had to wear the white shirt and tie and suit. And I'm going to work more local. I'm going to, try to cut back, and I'm going to start trying to enjoy my time here on earth instead of just working
it away.
Death. Yeah. What happened with me is with Ghost Boards is kind of an interesting thing. So I have a neighbor. His name is Brent Johnson, and he's my partner today. This is about 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
He worked for a company called 360 Scenery. So, he would go to these MLM type companies, or these big companies would come in and bring all their people in, and he would do all their audio and staging and make everything look really awesome for him. And
cool.
So he's really good with his hands, really good at building stuff. And he came across a piece of plexiglass, and he cut out a longboard, brought it home to his 11-year-old son, threw some wheels and trucks on it, and rode it over to my house. Now, his kids were best friends with my kids, and he rode it over, and I looked outside and go, God, man, I need to have fun.
Yeah.
I need a hobby. And I was looking for a hobby. And at that time, I was like, I don't like to run. That sucks.
Yeah.
Riding a bike hurts my butt, and I was like, I'd love to be able to get into some sort of hobby, and break up my work schedule into a hobby. And I go, longboarding, that would be really cool. And rewind a little bit. When I was a little kid, 11, 12 years old, I had the mohawk and a skateboard. I really did.
That was it.
Yeah. I listened to hard music and skated, and that was my transportation everywhere on the skateboard. And I still have that skateboard today. So it's 40 years old. Wow. And it's really cool to see this thing that I was in love with as a kid, and seeing this new longboard, and it sparked this idea in me, like, I loved that then. I know I'll love it today. So I asked my neighbor, hey, will you give me one of those? And he told me no. So I was like, oh, all right. So I went to Amazon, bought a longboard, tried it out, and it sucked. I was like, man, this thing stinks. The wheels suck. The trucks, the bearings, this thing is wobbly. I mean, it's like, I was like, so I asked him again. I go, can I have one of those? Will you make me one of those longboards? He told me no. This happened. I asked him every month for about 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I am a persistent guy.
Yeah, but 4 years, it's incredible. All right.
Yeah. For 4 years, I kept asking him, I want one of those. Can I have one? He finally gave me one. So I brought it home, and I started playing around with it, and I put some light up wheels on it, because it was a clear board, a clear plexiglass board. And I go, man, this is different than anything out there. You can leave it outside. It can be rained on, snowed on. It's not going to warp. The thing is super strong. I go, and it just looks cool.
It looks amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, so I built this. I was riding around the block with my dog, and, just doing some pictures and videos. And I went back to him. I went back to my neighbor. I go, okay, Brent, hey, I want to sell these. And he says, no. I said, okay. So you
waited another 4 years.
2 years,
okay.
Actually. About a year and a half, somewhere in there, a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
He told me no, and I said, okay, Brent, I know you want a new car, right? He goes, yeah. I go, so the car payment on a lease is what, about $400 a month? He goes, yeah. I go, how about I sell enough longboards you can make $400?
Okay.
So that was my MLM pitch to him.
Dude, that sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people do you have to sign up to do that?
Yeah. And I said, none. It's just you. All you have to do
Yeah.
is if I sell one, you just have to make it for me. Make the board and I'll assemble it. I'll do all the marketing. I'll do the website. I'll do all the social media. I'll do the packaging, and I'll ship it out. And he goes, okay, all right, I'll let you do it.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, great. So I went home, sat on my couch, and I searched easy websites, and Shopify popped up. And I go, oh, okay, $29.95. I can build a website.
Yeah.
I go, how cool is that? And it took me like an hour, to
put it all together.
Yeah, put it all together. I went to GoDaddy, got a domain, and then launched it. And
so this was what year was this?
This was 2017.
Okay, 2017. All right.
Yeah. So 2017 was sitting on the couch, building a website. I went outside with my iPhone, took a picture of the board, the only one that I had, and put it on there. Then I said, okay, I got to do more than just have a website. Websites to me it's like a business card.
Yes.
Yeah, they're stagnant. So now I have to be able to drive traffic to this. Okay. I love marketing. It's almost like a video game to me. Like, how do you get a high score on something? How do you compete? And so I started looking at all the other guys. I'm like, okay, there's my competition. How do I run faster than them? I'm going to sneak up on all these other guys out there and kind of show who I am.
Yeah.
So I started a Google My Business page, did a little Yext listings, did some Google review pages. I started a little paid ads of spending $20 a month.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. I opened up a Facebook, an Instagram, a Snapchat, a TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
A Yelp, you name it, about every social media platform. I was just like, I could take pictures, to put them out there, and all of a sudden I got like 3 people that bought a board. I was like,
dude.
Like, Brent, guess what? You get to make 3 boards.
Yeah.
So he came up with 10 designs in the beginning. He goes, okay, here's 10 designs, Russ, that I can make. I go, okay, perfect. So I was just even posting pictures of them, what the drawing just would look like.
Wow.
So it wasn't even, the boards weren't even made yet.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what they'd look like.
Yeah.
Made yet.
This is amazing.
Yeah. I go, here's a Tortuga, a Maui, a fishbone, these designs, the epicenter. And I said, we could make that board for you. So
that's perfect.
Yeah. And all of a sudden 3 people order. I'm like, okay, now what do I do? And I went to eBay and I'm like, okay, there's some wheels and trucks. There's some screws and nuts and bolts and there's some boxes I can buy. Yeah. And so I just started making them just in the living room and just putting them together, and thought it was exciting. Then I had 3 more pictures. I sold 3. So I had pictures of 3 more boards I got to put on the website. Yeah, absolutely. I was like, this is awesome. You know? And so back in my head, when I started the company, I kept thinking, one is I needed this hobby. This gave me time away from work, gave me something to do with my hands, and it gave me an opportunity to do it with my kids. I could show my kids. I love that. I love that you were able to do that with your kids. Yeah. Right? And that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, they don't want to do mortgage. They don't want to do other things, but skateboards are cool. So this would be kind of fun. They get to see this business start from fresh. It's something to do with their age group, and it could be really fun and a good opportunity. So that's kind of how it started. And then the philosophy was to make that $400. Well, that was my pitch to Brent. Mine was always a little bit bigger than that. Sure. Let's see what we can do. But that was how I could get it passed to go. Right. Yeah. So I started moving forward with it and started doing like 10 a month and doing about 15 a month. And every day I just come home, he'd drop the boards off at my house, and I just put on a podcast or some music or an audiobook, and then just start making these boards. Yeah. And this audiobook helped me relax. And I just be in there just kind of making boards, and it got me kind of unwind. And the kids would come in and like, hey, you want to make some money? Yeah. Help me put some boards together. And their friends would start coming over like, hey, can we help? And I'm like, yeah, come on in. And so I got to know a lot of my kids' friends. They're all sitting on the couches with me and just making chairs, boards. And we were just talking and making boards.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then was there a point where you're like, it just like skyrocketed and take off?
Yeah. That's the crazy story. Just this side little, hobby that is now really having a lot of fun with. I'm having this passion, I'm like, this is fun. I can go out and ride. I can take pictures of these, and people are starting to buy them now in different places. I remember the first time we sold a board to like Singapore. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It just wasn't California or Texas.
Yeah,
and
it's like now global.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We started getting people from Australia and Canada, and that brought in a whole new aspect of the business. Like, okay, now I have to figure out how to even do that. So I got the FedEx guy and the UPS guy coming to my couch in my house, and they're like, hey, I need to get an account. And they're coming over, sitting on my couch, signing me up with a business account. And because in the beginning, I was just going to the post office, dropping them off there, and FedEx or UPS, like, here, yeah, we'll help you. We'll get started. You're supposed to be in a commercial building, but you're cool. Yeah, we'll come to your house.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. And then is really funny. The UPS guy and the FedEx guy were really good friends with. They all know my garage code.
That's
even
the
today,
best.
Today, they bring packages like, hey, and they'll text me, hey, Russ, I just put something in your garage.
Yeah.
We're good friends. So they all watched our business, grow from the house to what it is today. And
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, so we're moving along, and we started doing boards for companies.
Wow. That's cool.
That's what kind of started us. So there was a company called Vivint.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And they said, my neighbor behind me works for Vivint. So I kept poking my head over, hey, neighbor.
Yeah.
And said, hey, I got these cool boards. You think, he's like, yeah, let me talk to one of my marketing guys.
Yeah.
He kept saying that for a while. And I'm like, hey, how's the marketing guy doing? What's his name?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they ordered like 150 boards.
That's awesome.
And we're like, whoa, how are we going to make 150 boards? So again, I said, Brent, you got to bring your whole family over to my house, and we're going to get all my nephews and nieces. And we put on the like Spider-Man movie and just started building boards, on a Saturday afternoon. And, one nephew, one little niece, be like 6 years old. She's putting the bearings in the wheels. Another one's putting the wheels on the trucks. Another one's putting the trucks on the boards. So he's had this
this sounds incredible.
Assembly line. Yeah. So boards are all over our house, and then we're stacking up down the hallway. So you can barely start walking through the hallways, and there's all these Vivint boards, all over the place.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do they think? Did they enjoy the boards when they got them?
Oh yeah. So I learned a lot with that because we're so new to it. I remember I made one first demo of the Vivint board, and I took it down there to show it to them, say, hey, this is what it looked like. And I'm just showing the marketing guy, and the CEO comes down and grabs it, jumps on the board, and takes off. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's a little bit of a bigger guy.
Sure.
And all of a sudden he goes a turn and he's a little heavier and gets wheel bite, and he goes flying off it. I go,
oh my gosh.
I
just killed the CEO.
Yeah, I just killed the CEO. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Or where's the exit? I'm like, I'm ready to like run.
Yeah.
Thinking I'm going to get sued. What is this? So,
for sure.
He jumps up, kind of embarrassed himself. He's like, oh yeah, I think, I was like, yeah, I think I need to fix that.
Yeah.
So what wheel bite is the board hits the wheel. You turn too sharp.
Okay.
And so you fix that by two things. You cut out a wheel space, kind of like a wheel well, like a car.
Okay.
Or you can put a riser on it, make it a little bit higher.
Okay.
And so I said, well, let's do wheel cuts out. So we went back to the drawing board, started redesigning the boards here.
Okay.
So bigger guys that want to turn, really sharp, that
they still can.
And I don't get sued.
Right.
Yeah,
that was the thing.
That scared me right there. And so then we started getting a couple other companies around Christmas time, like Web Audio and a couple others, were started ordering, boards from us for Christmas. Then Roxbury and Sodalicious and Waffle Love, and started doing all these little companies. We're like, oh, this is cool. They wanted something to give away on Instagram, with their
which
logo
is awesome.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of broke into businesses before really the public.
Interesting.
Yeah, so as we moved along, those are our big days of doing these big orders, but mostly, man, if we sold like 30 in a month, it was like, we're living this
large.
Is cool. I'm spending like $200 a month on Google. This is, I'm spending $100 on Instagram, and Instagram became one of our top, platforms to get it out there. Wow. So at this time, we're plugging along. Brent's starting to get a little bit irritated with me at this time. He's like, okay, Russ, you said we're just going to do a handful I'm working now kind of another part-time job.
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old and I didn't want to work a part-time job. And I'm like, okay, Brent, all right, just calm down.
Yeah,
We'll talk about this and we'll get through it. And so we started getting to a point. He's like, I don't know about this. And I said, is there anybody at your work that needs extra money then?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, yeah, there's this guy named Mike. He's just newly married. He's always looking for, I go, then offer him. He stays on nights and weekends and cuts a few boards for us.
Mm.
And it worked out perfect. Mike's like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then we also went to Brent's, his CEO, and said, okay, we're using your machines.
Yes.
This is what we're doing. Can we work out a deal? They said, yeah, just pay us $5 a board that you cut. And this machine is like $150,000. And we're like,
wow,
$5, you got yourself a deal.
Yes.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, no more talking.
Yeah, this is great.
Done.
This is great. I'm so sorry. Oh, you say something? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Reception's bad.
Yeah, I gotta go, man.
Yeah.
That's a sweet deal. I'll give you a free board too.
Yeah.
So
smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So the pressure came off of Brent of now he just had to bring it to my house and do a few designs and programming the machine and cut some on his lunch break, and it was okay. And then the flip side, I started to get a little bit stressed, because now he's dropping off 30 to 50 boards a month to my house, and my wife again is like, okay, now you're working till midnight again.
Yeah, we're going back to the old ways, right?
Yeah, even though it's a different business,
Yeah.
I went back to my comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's like your body and your programming, your mind, it knows what it knows. So whether it's this industry or a different industry, slowly things will start going back.
Yep, I started back in my habits,
Yes.
and I didn't realize it at first either. Is I slipped into this, and the kids were like, Dad, I got school tomorrow, and you're drilling. Can you not drill? And building boards. And I'm like, oh yeah. I'll try to get all those done before 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then after 10, I'm slowly just
I'm like,
you're really quiet.
You're like, I gotta screw this in manually.
That's what it was. I was kind of manual. I'd pull out the little skate tool, kind of still doing them, and there's no noise to it. And I'm like, all right, I'll still do it. And at that point, so I hired one of the kids in the neighborhood. His name was Ryan, and he was a skater kid. And I go, hey, this would be kind of fun. I called Ryan. Hey, Ryan, it'd be like 10 o'clock at night. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, not much. Hey, do you want to come on over to my house and build some boards?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, okay.
I think that's what I want in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll give you $10 an hour. Just come help me, build some of these boards. And he's like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
Work 2 hours a night and make an extra $20. He's like,
great.
Yeah, pretty cool. And we got to talk and just hang out and see what he's up to. And so at this point, we're just kind of plugging along. I got this little system. I've gone back into some bad habits, and the wife's being supportive. The kids.
What year was this?
It was about 2018 going into 2019.
Okay, so just like a couple years into it, barely.
Yeah. It was still just this hobby, just kind of plugging along. The kids then started getting upset with me. They started saying, like my daughter and my son, like, okay, Dad, my friends want to come over and build boards with you, and they don't want to hang out with me.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
At first, like, yeah, of course your kids want to hang out with me because I'm cool, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're not. And like, you can't steal our friends. That was actually a true words out of their mouth.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm like, I didn't think I was stealing your friends. I was hiring them and they're helping me.
Yeah.
We're having fun. You're invited.
Yeah.
To come build some boards. And we started getting that uncomfortable spot. And so they had to start putting some boundaries on me.
That's hilarious. But keep going.
Yeah. So the kids are putting the boundaries on me. I'm trying to be very careful, very, very sensitive to their kids. I'd go hide if they're coming over, so if they weren't coming to work here, nope, I'm not. No, Russ isn't there.
Yeah.
So you come on over.
Russ is not around. Yeah.
Our house, it moved from the den to lots of parts in the den. It got full. And then I started moving a lot of skate stuff into the piano room.
Okay.
and no one was playing the piano at the time. Our kids all gave up on that. So the piano room started to become the skate room too.
Yeah.
And then part of the garage started to become part of the skates.
Oh, yeah.
Like all the inventory. Because I was starting to buy like 100 wheels at a time, or 200, 300. And I was putting them all in these bins in the garage, and the garage started filling up with parts. So the first couple of years really weren't making any money. Everything I was kind of doing, I was putting right back into it. I was like taking the money.
This is like the pain of growth in a company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you don't have like a warehouse or anything.
We were getting our $400. So that was our pay, as our $400, and all the rest of the profit was going into the company. And so I'd put some on my credit card to buy some bulk, not very much, a couple $1,000, because you got to pay up front to have these wheels and trucks, shipped in. And then at that point, so I had a garage, the living room and a den kind of full of skate supplies.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds intense and amazing.
Yeah. And the kids started to get a little bit annoyed with that, because all of a sudden they're down the hallway too after they're built. So they're leaning up against the wall before I can wrap them. And they're like, I tripped over one trying to go to the bathroom at midnight, And,
Dude, that sounds amazing.
So I'm trying to figure out how to keep a clean system, with them and what to do. But it was difficult. It was going into 2019, we're like, okay, this is getting bigger and busier, and I'm staying up to midnight to 1. I've gone back in those old habits again. We're selling, 100 boards, to a month. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is getting, building 100 boards, part-time it takes a lot of time. And in between, I'm answering all the emails. I'm doing all the social media.
How are you doing that and the mortgage company?
Yeah, I'm making all the labels, and I'm doing all the shipping, and I'm doing all the boxes, and
oh man.
So yeah, it was starting to take up my life. I'd go to work, 8 a.m., come home about 5, and then from 5 until about midnight, I was working my second job.
Oh man, yeah.
And there was an imbalance with it, with what was going on, but I was still excited about it. I was still really, I had this passion of, look at what this business is doing. Look at people are riding the boards all over the world. And we're like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I had this opportunity to meet lots of cool CEOs of other companies, from these companies that would be ordering them. I'm like, oh, I got to meet, later on, I've done boards for like Rockstar Energy, Imagine Dragons, Neon Trees, and
that's amazing.
Just all these some other actors and actresses. I've probably met every kid that's on a Disney show. We seriously have met tons of young actors and throughout the world, and it's this crazy fun thing. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I show my daughter, hey, do you know who this is? Oh yeah, saw them on Fuller House. I'm like, yeah, they got a board, or
that's funny. Yeah,
whatever movie it was, or Avengers. Oh, look at that girl right there.
Yeah,
she's riding a ghost board.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're getting busy. It's out of control, and back in my life again. I've got now two jobs, and I'm working till midnight, and I don't know what to do at this point.
Yeah.
It's starting to grow. I love it more, and I want it to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm going to push this thing. And all of a sudden in my head, I'm like, how do I become the biggest longboard company in the world? Okay. That's my thought.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, so I started Googling, okay, who's the biggest? All right, they sell this many. I'm like, okay, all right, there's my mark.
So how much was that? How many were they normally selling?
I think some of the biggest companies are doing, close to $6,000-7,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, all right,
okay,
I can do that.
Game on.
Yeah, that was it. It was game on.
Yeah.
What do I do? Now they've been doing it since 1983, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I can do this. And we had no funding. Everything was
self-funded.
Just all self-funded of just whatever the profits were.
Yeah.
I kind of went into it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start going for this. So I started pushing social media marketing really hard at this point. I'm like, I'm going for this thing. I'm going to start putting as much as I can into this, and started growing it like really quick. We started doing that 100 to 300 boards a month. And
But then how did you manage the inventory and like
like I said, it took up 3 rooms of the house and the garage.
Great.
And started to fill up the shed, and it started to fill up the basement.
Wow. Well, I just barely moved into a new place. I don't use my garage as much. So
all right, there you go.
I got a little bit of real estate for you.
Yeah. And so here's what happened. It was 2020.
Okay.
COVID hit, and we're still doing about 100 boards a month. Somewhere there, 100 to 300 a month, and really cranking out. I've got usually 2 or 3 kids coming over helping me build boards, at night, and we're starting to crank out. And we're like, okay, we can do this. Let's just keep going. And all of a sudden, there's a girl named Maddie in Ohio that bought a board. She is 17 years old, just turned maybe 18, and so she wanted a longboard. And she buys a board and she does a TikTok video.
Okay.
And she only had maybe a couple hundred followers of just friends. And TikTok grabbed it and took it viral.
No way.
Yeah. And when we say viral, we're talking like 50 million views.
What?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. It was
50
like,
million. That's insane.
It's hitting the jackpot for a business.
Okay.
Really what it was. Because we're growing, and what it did, it took us from 5 years leap ahead. And so if you could just jump ahead 5 years in a business, what you think you'll look like, that's what hitting a jackpot is. And that's what it did for us. The way we're growing, it would have been 5 years to ever get there. And all of a sudden, TikTok and then every influencer in the world started hitting me up. And we're talking big names, people that have got 15 million followers, 5 million, 10 million, actors, actresses. I mean, they're coming out of the woodworks of just everybody started knowing who we were. And my phone, that first day, it was May 31st, 2020. All of a sudden, we just had a record month. It was like month 4, I think it was like 500 boards.
Wow.
Yeah, we're like, man, we are crazy cranking. We need a game plan. We didn't have one yet.
Yeah.
What to do? We got to get this somewhere out of the house at some time.
It was interesting because everything seems like you're like just shooting from the hip almost. Like just survival. Like, okay, let's do this. Now let's do this one,
Yeah. And even in the beginning, I was like, I don't know what wheels and trucks. And a lot of that was trial and error. I bought like 20 sets of bearings and 20 sets of wheels and 20 different types of trucks. And I kept trying to find what ones do I like the very best. And when I build a board from the very, very beginning, I go, I'm not going to sell anything that I won't ride personally. That was my number one philosophy. I have to love it. I have to love the wheels. I have to love the bearings. I have to love the trucks. Yeah. Because I want to build one for me, and then I'll let someone have one.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And that's our philosophy today. Every board that goes out is something I would personally want to ride.
I remember when I saw that orange one. That's the one I bought, right? Yeah. I saw it, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it because orange is my favorite color. And I'm like, I have to have that board. Like it was one of those, like, before FanX is over, that board will be in my possession. I'm like, Russ, how much do you want for it? And it was great because I have it still and I love it, and they're just awesome boards. So
yeah, and we're not visual here with showing the board, so those are listening.
No, we can.
Yeah.
We totally can. Are you kidding me?
Okay, but those are listening. Yeah, they're a clear board. They're a clear.
We are going to
longboard. Yeah, right here.
Welcome on to the lemonade stand, my friend. Can you guys see this? If you guys can't see this board, this is there. So awesome. It's totally clear. It's like a little invisible ninja, just like threads, and the wheels light up. It's such a smooth ride. Yeah, go ahead, Russ. You want to share something?
Yeah. So and that's what made it really fun with the clear board is how do you create something that. And that was all the other longboards. You couldn't get a colored truck or wheel because you didn't see it. Yeah. So all longboards came with a black or silver truck. And I go, God, what about a red, a orange, a pink? And so our whole concept of the company is like Build-A-Bear. Yeah. It's kind of Build-A-Board. So you get to have your own shape.
Yeah. Your own design.
Yeah. We did a board in the shape of a banana, a penguin, a Zelda shield. We've done things that are a shark.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so a guitar. We have a guitar.
That's amazing.
And a coffin. We have a coffin.
That's great. That's for the people that, hey, before they die, they want to ride that board and they'll croak. So
yeah. And so so back in December of that 2019, we did a board for an NBA player called Carlos Boozer.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And someone introduced me to him, and I did boards for his family, and sent me this video. Man, these boards are sick. Thank you for a Christmas present. And this is awesome. I'm thinking, Carlos Boozer, remember when he played for the Jazz and for the Bulls, and it was like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. We've made a board for someone famous. I could put his name on it. And I put Boozer on it. And it was really cool. And that opened up when we can do any graphic that people wanted. And that was the beauty of it, is people wanted their name or their logo or anything, even kids' drawings. Yeah. They would draw something, send it to us, and we could design it.
That's amazing.
And Brent is the genius behind design and making them and creating them and making this so personal. And I was kind of the front of the sales guy, and I can sell anything you can design. So let's do it. So back on Maddie. So this girl also my phone on May 31st, and Shopify
May 31st, 2020.
And Shopify has this little noise when you get an order. It's like bing, bing, ka-ching, ka-ching. Yeah, it's ka-ching, like money. And also my phone's like ka-ching, 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 and it wouldn't stop. I'm like,
what is happening?
Broken? I'm like, hit my phone, thinking, all right, something's not working.
The app is busted. Yeah,
I'm looking at it, and Brent calls me. He goes, Russ, what just happened? I don't know, Brent. Let me look into it. Let me call you back.
Yeah.
And I'm watching all these orders, and May 31st, 2020, we had like almost about 600 or 700 orders in one day.
No way.
Yeah, in a day. And I was
gosh.
like, Brent's calling me. What are we gonna do? We never even made that many in a month yet.
Right.
Yeah, and that was just one day. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it's just a fluke. We're done for the month. You don't need to worry. That's let's figure out. I'll put out something. We're 30 days out on orders or something. We'll get it figured out. And all of a sudden the next day, another 400 or 500 orders come through.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's gnarly.
And then Brent says, okay, Russ, we've added almost 1,100 orders in 2 days. We need to shut and he said this morning, yelling at me, shut the website off now.
Okay.
So he was like freaking out beyond freak out. And I just am still like in heaven, like,
yeah, buddy.
That's the coolest thing ever. He's got 1,000 orders in 2 days. I mean, and then he set reality. I mean, like, do you even have 1,000 sets of wheels? Like, no, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I got like 200.
Yeah.
We're good. Almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you don't even have enough bearings for 1,000 boards. I'm like, yeah, but not a problem.
Yeah.
I'll find some on eBay.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And so I sent my daughter out also to all the skate shops in all of Utah, buying everything they had.
That is hilarious.
So, like, wherever you find bearings, go this. And that's calling skate shops in California, and like, hey, how many sets of trucks and wheels you guys have? And they're like, oh, we got about 1,000. I go, oh, perfect. I'll take them all. and I go, I don't care what color, just all your colors. I want everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, Russ? And I'll go back to that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I work on shutting down this website. So I'm going to Shopify saying out of order, taking all the inventory out. So I just had it set at 100 of everything. It didn't really matter, because we build everything to order. So
right.
So I'm shutting it off, and people are still ordering. I can't even get everything shut off.
Oh my gosh!
Before they're still buying and buying and buying, and I'm like, oh my gosh! So we have a couple 1,000 orders, and we don't know what we're gonna do. We're kind of freaking out. So I call that distributor out in California. His name's Alan Wong. I go, Alan, I need to buy everything, and you're a distributor. Can you help me find more wheels and trucks? And this is what I need. He goes, yeah, Russ, I'll help you. Turn your website back on. He goes, people want your board. Give it to them. And I go,
nice.
And I was like, Alan, but how am I going to do this? He goes, don't worry. I got you. I'll help you. And he's a good friend today. And so I called Brent, and I said, hey, Brent, Alan says, let's turn it back on. Let's go for it. He goes, no. I go, okay, Brent, we're not going to go through this for 2 years if you tell me no. And I said, what do you want to do? And he goes, I don't know how we're going to do this. I go, either do I, but let's go to work and figure it out. I go, do you want to do, he goes, I can't work that many hours. There's no possible physical way we can even make that many boards. Okay, let me see what I can figure out. And so my wife jumped in. She goes, all right, it's COVID. Lots of companies are hurting. She got in the phone book or, on Google and started Googling manufacturing companies and called it like all of them in Utah and found 5. And she'd call them saying, she'd be like, Brent, what's that machine called? And he's like, well, it's a CNC machine. She goes, okay, that's all I need to know. She'd call companies, hey, do you have a CNC machine? I'm like, yeah. She goes, think we could work out a deal? And so my wife went to work and cut a deal with 5 companies and said, can you make us 100 boards a day if we give you the design, the shape, all that? And they're like, oh yeah, we're starving. We don't have any work right now. We're laying off people. So she found a company up in Ogden, one in Pleasant Grove, one in Linden. So she went to work on finding how we can actually make the boards.
Wow. Okay.
And then Brent went to work on finding the acrylic. So he called every company from Chicago to Mexico and saying, how many sheets of acrylic do you guys have? And they're like, well, we got about 400 sheets. He goes, okay, we'll take it all. And so he went to work on finding the acrylic. My wife went finding help, machinists. And then I went to work and I hired 50 kids in the neighborhood. I flipped the website back on. I flipped the switch and said, let's go for it. So
I imagine almost like that flip of the switch is like in Jurassic Park, when they're like all, it's
that's what it was. The switch went right back on and boom, all of a sudden that phone started going ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And we sold just under $1 million of boards in June.
Oh my gosh,
of
dude.
2020.
No way.
So we went from having maybe $700 in the bank account
to
having $1 million in the bank account.
Hopefully Brent could afford a car by then,
Yeah. So we had this $1 million sitting there, and it's scary to have this $1 million sitting in your bank account.
Sure.
And you're like, if we don't make these boards quick, they're going to start asking for their money back.
Right. Yeah.
And this is where chaos happened. I mean,
because the other stuff wasn't chaos. This is it. And so the chaos went from, okay, we need to make almost 7,000 boards now. Great.
And we have $1 million in the bank. Let's spend it. Let's get these boards made.
Yeah. So
Brent went to work getting all the machinists trained up how to do it. My wife's looking for real estate, for a building. And I had 3 pop-up tents in the driveway with table. I went to Costco, cleaned out every Costco table you could find.
Yeah.
And I had 20 people in the garage, 10 people around the kitchen table, 10 people in the family room, and another 10 people out in the hot sun of June with pop-up tents with air conditioner fans blowing on people, coolers of Mountain Dew and water for everybody.
Dude, this is amazing.
And every neighbor supported us. It was the coolest thing ever. We had cars down the road, everybody sending their kids over. Like, now you need to go work for us. You need to go work for us. And everybody was coming over. I'm like, okay, you're on wheels, you're on trucks, you're on this, you're on assembly, you're on boxing. And my daughter's running the schedule and they have to sign in a clipboard. What time they got there.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah, we have pizza showing up every day at our house. And the UPS guy is back in our driveway every day. Every day it was set up, pull everything out into the driveways, and about 1:00 in the morning, pulling everything back into the garage so we could shut the garage. Our cars were down the street somewhere. Yeah. I have no idea where our cars were. Yeah. My nephew, I said, here's $500. I need you down in California and back in 24 hours. I'll give you another $500 bonus. He's like,
oh my gosh,
great.
Done.
Yeah, done. Yeah, he just got married. So him and his wife jumped in his truck, ran down to California to go meet Alan. And Alan loaded up his truck as high as he could get at Wheels and Trucks and stuff. And he was back within 24 hours. So we had parts, started building these things. I had machine shops cutting. We had Plex being stored at Brent's work. So,
dude, that is gnarly.
Yeah, he was borrowing the company van to run Plex around to these different machine shops.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
My wife is just she's controlling just the flow of everything and the training of kids. And my daughters run around, my sons run around training kids. This is how you build a board. This is how it goes. This, we had QC guys running around. Nope, that doesn't look right. Change it, fix it, box it up. I had people just full-time printing labels, in the system. We had these little label printers that UPS gave me, and went to Costco and bought 7 laptops so I could have on the kitchen table.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and just everybody, we had the group printing labels, and I was answering 600 to 700 emails every night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'd go to bed about 2 a.m. almost every day, just because I knew if I got behind, they would just pile up. So every day I'm updating the website. Hey guys, I'm on order this. We're 45 days out on orders, and I raised the prices $50 to $75 on every board, and they still wouldn't stop buying.
Oh my gosh. You're like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stopping people.
Yeah. I was like, but it was costing us so much money. I was air freighting stuff in from out of the country for Wheels and Trucks. And so
all because Maddie did a TikTok video.
Yeah.
Maddie and her TikTok. Yeah.
So
it's amazing.
So here's the beauty of Maddie. So I gave her $33,000 for college.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We gave her, I think it was a little over $30,000, and
wow.
And we started influencers at this time.
Yeah.
I said, anyone that uses the code Maddie saves money, and Maddie, you get 5%. And, and that started the whole look of how to use influencers.
Yeah.
Today we've got about 1,700 influencers, and we add probably 30 to 40 new ones every single month. Yeah.
What's funny, dude, is like, even as we were having this conversation, I was like thinking, because I've got some friends of mine that are like A-list actors. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I need to like reach out and be like, hey, you guys need to like get in on this board situation,
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's so fun, and you get to meet all these actors and people that have made themselves famous. Even some have just also had YouTube videos go viral. They've had TikToks go viral, and they all love it, and the moms love it, and we're just having a ton of fun. Ever since that, it just continued going that entire year. So from June, we moved into this warehouse in August. So for a couple of months, everybody was at our house. Our house got destroyed. I mean, our fridges were raided every day. Oh, sure. The traffic of mud, wet, rain, it didn't matter throughout the house wasn't a house. And this was hard on my kids.
I'm sure it
really
was
hard.
Yeah.
They didn't have a house anymore. It was a factory. And there wasn't a spot in the house to park your car. It wasn't a spot to even be alone, in the house. I mean, it was crazy. And so we finally moved it into this warehouse and really got it under control there. Yeah. And we kept most of those kids. We started running 3 shifts of kids. We had an early morning shift from 6 to noon. We had another shift from noon to about 6 or 7, and then another shift from 7 o'clock at night to midnight to 1 to 2 a.m. So we were running so we bought our own machines. We're still using the other machine guys to help us, even during this whole process. And we were cranking out between 250 to 400 boards a day, and could not get caught up. And that's working until 2 a.m. still every day. So I was replacing myself with everything. I'm like, okay, I need one person just to answer emails because I'm getting grumpy. Yeah. And I need someone to do labels because I'm getting grumpy with that. I need someone to do QC. I need someone, start doing some of these other parts to it. But I didn't ever want to let go. Even today, I still control all the inventory ordering because I want to make sure I love the parts, that they're made exactly what I want. Yeah. I still control all of the marketing. I decided at an early time of the business, one of my favorite books is called Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard. Okay. So in that book, it teaches you kind of the whole Disney experience of when you go to a restaurant, it teaches you, people, the waiter always comes to you. And what do they ask you after they drop off their meal?
Like anything else, like dessert or anything else?
Before that, they first drop it off. You take your first bite. What do they come ask you?
How's everything going? Or
how's the experience?
Yeah.
How is it? I mean, you say, what's the typical answer?
Oh, it's amazing. It's great. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's great. It's good,
Yeah.
right? And then at the end of the meal, they ask you, hey, how was everything? You say it's good or great, right?
Yeah.
This book teaches you those are failure words. If it's good or great or it's good, that means that was just a shrug off. Like, how's the weather? Good.
Yeah,
How you
not bad.
doing?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, raving fans is when you go to a restaurant or somewhere and you love it so much, what do? You take pictures of it.
You're talking to everybody
You
about
tell
it.
your friends about it. You
Yeah.
post about it. And how often do you ever post about a restaurant?
Oh, dude. I don't really do that as much as
No,
I should.
no, probably not.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a bad experience, sometimes you do, like,
Yeah.
oh, terrible food, terrible service, and most people, so most restaurant owners, think about it. You go there, you eat the food, you walk out. The owner never knows if you had a good experience or not. Never know if you're going to come back.
Yeah.
Never know if you're going to tell all your friends about it. Now, with Ghost, I want people to become raving fans. So when they got their board that they wanted to do, they wanted to take pictures of the box, and they wanted to take pictures of them opening it. They wanted to be able to open up and ride it, and it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
And it's flawless. And then they want to go take pictures and videos of them riding it, and they want to go share it with all their friends. So at an early stage, I came up with that we're going to warrant everything on it. The board breaks, I'm just going to give them a new one because I want them to be raving fans that we stand behind our board. If a wheel flaws or something's bad with it, I'm just going to give them a new one. And I want people out on them because that's the advertisement.
Yeah.
Them out riding around because everybody will stop them like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
So
dude, it's so fun. Like when I ride my board, everyone's like, wait, what the freak is that?
What is
and
that?
I'm like, welcome to the future, guys.
Yeah. So I want raving fans. And that was the very beginning. And so, and turning over social media was hard for me because I talk to everybody. I still answer a couple hundred DMs every single day. I still make sure every one of their emails are answered, by somebody, if not me. I still get on lives with people. I chat with people. I want to be like different. You can't go talk to the CEO of Nike.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to say, oh yeah, I met the owner of Ghost.
Yeah.
And even with our little new storefront, I take pictures of everybody that buys a board with a Polaroid. Yeah. And we make them sign it and we put it up on the wall. I want people to go tell their friends, hey, go check out my picture on the wall at Ghost.
Yeah.
I want kids to come hang out at our place. I want to take tours. We've had people fly in that want to come tour our factory. And it's so cool to be able to take them on a tour. And we get a lot of young men groups, that come in all the time. And, we get 40, 50 kids that want to come look at how it's done, how it's made. And I want to create raving fans. So when people walk away from a Ghost board, like, it wasn't just another board they bought on Amazon.
It was an experience.
It was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want. And, we've got one guy here in Utah. He has actually bought 20 boards from us now. Him and his girlfriend are obsessed with them. Every time we come up with a new design, a new look, they collect them. And we've got lots of people like that. There's a girl in California, I think she has like 10, and someone over in Pleasant Grove has 12. And we have someone in Florida that has
2. I need to catch
8.
up. Yeah.
And it's so fun that they collect them and they're making it part of, they're raving fans of it. And I never want to get away from that. That people have the experience of a Ghost board. It's different. It's not just another longboard.
Yeah.
That they fall in love with it. They know that we're going to stand behind it no matter what.
You're literally building a community.
Yes, we are.
You're building a community of like raving fans.
So crazy. There's a girl that works in Ron John Surf Shop in Florida. She has a Ghost tattoo. So I gave her, I sent her a t-shirt and some stuff, and I'm thinking, I don't even have a Ghost tattoo.
Dang.
But we're getting people that have our logo tattooed on their body.
That's great.
That is kind of weird.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. It's very interesting, the fan mentality. I remember I was on a TV show. It was a fantasy show called The Outpost, and I played a mute character. I just had like a fun mute character, but I beat people up. Like I was a good guy, but I beat up the bad guys, I guess. But I'm spoiler alert. My character season 1 gets killed, but I'm the season 1 finale death. Anyway, I knew it was gonna happen. My friends were telling me about it because they were the ones writing the show. And I'm like, all right, dude, but if I'm going to die, just give me a cool death. Like, give me like, I don't want like a pathetic, like I fell off a cliff. I want to like sacrifice myself to save somebody else. He's like, dude, I got you.
All right.
So anyway, I ended up dying because I took a crossbow in the back because, you know, I was saving my partner in crime, right? And it was a great scene. It was fun. But like, you know, acting is one of those things where you film it and then the next day I'm back filming other scenes that I never filmed. So it was just fun. And then I finished it off and I went off and did my own thing. Well,
do people remember you?
A couple months later, because I mean, I was acting. A couple months later, I get all these messages saying that I died. I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm all right. And then I'm like, oh, Alpo must have showed up. You know, they must have aired that episode. And then my buddy Adam's like, dude, have you been on Twitter yet? I'm like, no, I haven't. He's like, you need to go on Twitter like right now. I'm like, okay. So I get on Twitter and dude, there are like pages and pages of people that are lamenting my death. I'm like, what the freak, you know? And I'm like reading through it. People have done artwork of my face. They've done they've done like little montages and like people were like talking about how sad they are that my character died and everything. I'm thinking that was a great job. I can't wait for the next one. It was fun. But
they're still living.
But in certain people's like that character like lives on, right?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because like when you can create something like that and like make it be a part of people's lives, so much so that I mean, I don't think anyone's got a tattoo of my face on their body. I hope not. I pray that that's not the case. But when you have someone that's created a ghost board tattoo or ghost tattoo on their body, then you know, like, okay, like this is something really awesome, something really special.
Yeah. So, and it's that weird thing. You know, I always think of big companies like Nike, you know, that or Ralph Lauren or Izod and you know, all these companies. They're getting people to pay them to wear their logo, their clothes. Right. I'm thinking to advertise for them. You buy my shirt or my shoes, you're going to pay me, and then you're going to advertise for me. Yeah. And I thought, wow, that concept is crazy. Yeah. And I've always liked Disney. You know, the Disney Experience or Disney Institute. Mm-hmm. They tell you that I don't remember the exact number. They try to make like $65,600 off every person that goes in the park. And the way they do that, they believe you're going to go there not for one ride or one thing, that you're going there for the experience, the wow factor, and all the little wows, they call it. And you're going to come back and you're going to advertise for them. You're going to post about your experience at Disneyland. You're going to come back with your kids, back with your grandkids, and then you're going to buy their stuff. Yeah. And so over a lifetime, they want to make something like $65,000 off you. And I thought,
guys,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. They're brilliant, you know, in marketing. So you think, how do you do that with a product? How do you do that with something? And one of my biggest concerns in the very beginning of this business, I didn't want to become a fidget spinner or an 80s one-hit wonder song. That scared me in the very beginning. I was like, okay, I don't want this just to be a fad, go away. How do you continue that growth, that experience, that wow factor, like, oh yeah, that clear board, that was fun. Yeah. You know, that was a fidget spinner. Now it's gone after 1 year. And so I go, how do I make sure this lasts, you know, forever? And this product lasts forever. That is and we had to change things up quite a bit on it. Is I had to get it to show people it wasn't just a butterfly board for a 13-year-old girl. That we have downhill riders that will race these. We've got dancers that can dance on them. We've got them for a 6-year-old and we have them for a 50-year-old man. Yeah. And so we diversed into so many different segments with our boards to say, I don't want to be, you know, just one little segment that goes in and out of style. Yeah. And we have to stay up. You know, we've got the experienced riders. We've got upgraded trucks and wheels and bearings and downhill stuff. We've got ones for beginners that just starting out. We've got penny boards. We've got electric boards. Yeah. And so I had to think of how do you keep this business growing? You know, what's the old Lou Holtz would say, you're growing, you're dying. Yeah. You know, and you have to always be growing. And so we're always in development. We came out with resin boards. We've come out with LED boards. We've come out with, you know, so many new things that keep adding to the boards to make them a cool factor. I've still to launch, you know, I've got 3 or 4 more ideas to do with them. That was just, I think it just kind of blows people's minds. You want to have the wow factor, like, yeah, wow, what is that?
Well, and I know we were having this conversation that you had to change the name from Ghost Longboards to Ghost Boards.
Yes, that is hard. So anyone starting a business today, think of your name up front.
Yeah.
To change that, change your tax ID, all of that everywhere, your insurance, everything. And it is super hard. Your bank accounts. I mean, oh my gosh, it took almost a year
to get all that stuff changed.
Because there'll still be a bill attached to
the
that
longboard one. Yeah.
Well, actually, the original name was Marketing Fruit. I used an old company of mine, and I didn't want to spend the money on it. So I did a DBA, Ghost Longboards.
Okay.
So everything that people thought they were actually paying Marketing Fruit. That's all the money went into the Marketing Fruit account. And so I had to go register Ghost Boards. And the reason for that, yes, is I want to get away from just being a longboard company.
Yeah.
I want boards. We're working on wake surfboards, snowboards. We're going to do all things
Which
boards.
is so sick because I think I was telling you, like, I used to teach snowboarding. I love snowboarding, and I still do. And I just bought a new setup this year, but I can't wait for the Ghost board to come out because I will be acquiring one of those, and shredding down the mountain on that.
And to create something, you have to go into all things. We've got now shirts and hoodies and beanies and hats and we have an energy drink, and we have lots of keychains, and just you keep bringing out stuff to continue the branding and get the name out there. And it's hard. We changed our logo, we changed our name. And doing all those things, you have to tweak, all these little things when building a business. And moving a business from a hobby out of the house to a real business, there's not really a book that has a checklist. Hey, by the way, did you know you're going to have to pay $5,000 a month in insurance? Oh, I didn't know that. It's like, oh, you have to have workers' comp insurance, liability insurance. You have to have fire and theft insurance. You have to have insurance for Amazon. You have to have insurance for, every little thing wants some insurance policy rider.
Of course.
That costs, there's another $1,000. Oh, there's another $1,000. I just signed up to do college logos on our boards. And it's like, okay, this school wants $1,000 up front and a 17% residual and $1,000 a month insurance policy. Like, what? Okay, I hope I sell a lot of University of Utah, BYU, board. They're like Texas. Oh, they want $5,000. There's so many things when you start a business you don't think about. Like, okay, we got to think about not only employees and quarterly taxes and setting up a business and your bank account. It's not all like bing, bing, bing on my phone. I just made $1 million. Like, okay, now with that $1 million, we got to make sure we cross our T's, dot our I's. My wife went to work. And that's where she went and got the insurances and the rents, and she went and met with an attorney to write up contracts for me and Brent. And so, and I'll even talk about the bad. The bad of a business. It took over my life again. Today it's under control, but in the beginning, it literally kicked my butt. Yeah. There was no sleep. There was no vacation. It was insane. Yeah. B, with a partnership. Partnerships are hard. If you don't sit down, and we had to go into legal documents and all that. And we did have our fights. Brent and I butted heads on this, and it was rough. It was tough. And we had to have that elephant in the room talk. Mm-hmm. Who's doing what and who's doing more than the other. Yeah. Those are hard conversations to have because this is your kids' parents, and they're your neighbor. Yeah. And you're going to see them every day. Yeah. And there's hard conversations, and we had to have a point where we almost shut down the company over those conversations. It got to a point where we were meeting in my house, and it came down to I had to come up with, here's A, B, and C. This is all I'm going to accept is here's door A, here's door B, and here's door C. And Brent, you got to pick one of these because right now I can't be the one up till 2 a.m. while you're not. Yeah. And there was some imbalance, and we had to figure those out, and job descriptions and who does what. And there's a lot of that people don't think about. They go in business with a friend, and think it's, we're buddies. We'll never fight. We're always going to both work just as hard as the other. Right. And those idealistic, those things, they disappear when the going gets really tough, Yeah. And even when I asked Brent, I go, I need you to quit your job. And I go, I need to know how much you're making. So he told me, and I said, okay, let's do it this way. And it's interesting. So we set up the company. I did it this way a little bit on purpose, never stop the growth of the company. We pay ourselves $5 a board.
Awesome.
That's it. He gets $5 a board. I get $5 a board, but we get like a draw against that. And then we get a car allowance and cell phone allowance, things like that. But by doing that, it pushed us both to make sure how many boards we're going to sell a month, and it continued growing.
Yeah.
And so I love that our pay is variable. I'm not taking some big salary. I'm not doing that. I'm paid on the success of the company on it growing.
I love that.
So I love our concept that we've done that and we've stuck to that.
Yeah.
And it's just been great. It's like, okay, let's make sure we do sell 4,000 or 5,000 boards a month. Let's keep it going. And now we've got, I always say my 401k is sitting on the shelf. Yeah. I've in my warehouse, I've got enough parts to probably build close to 30,000 boards. It's all paid for. So, and that's a good feeling when you say, oh gosh, everything in the warehouse, machine is paid for, forklift is paid for, van is paid for, everything, and there's not a loan.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah. And then you look around, you're like, and when you finally get to, and there's been some days I've got to walk around the warehouse like on a late night or a Saturday or Sunday and say, this is cool.
Yeah.
Look what we built.
Yeah.
And I'm still in awe. It's a little bit of this shock factor.
Yeah.
When you get to walk around, that big warehouse and it's quiet and you're like, I cannot believe this is real.
Yeah.
And it's still in awe to me that it's a hobby that's not work for me. And now it's fun again.
That's
and
perfect.
I have a great relationship with my kids. And
that's the most important thing.
And I had to repair some of that, and I had to fix some of that. And we've given out scholarships to kids. We've paid for church missions for kids, and we've got to be able to give back. We've done last year. We raised money for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Every board that sold, we had $1 that went to Make-A-Wish. We did Underground Railroad. We had $1.
Oh, wow.
Every board that sold went to them. And so we're looking for new charities to be able to get in. And that's part of doing a business. You can make a bunch of money, but if you don't feel like you did something with it or did a difference, and I feel like we've done a difference. One of my big things are I want to make a difference in all the kids that come to work there. And they first feel like it's a safe place to work. Mm-hmm. Every kid, every person out there has something going on in their life. It would be anxiety, depression, something hard in their life. And I wanted when they come to Ghost, they feel like their family.
Okay.
Yeah, they're okay. They can talk to me. And I understand. I've had a lot of kids with anxiety and depression that we've talked to. And that they're okay. And B is that we can make a difference in life. That I remember when I was 16, I worked at Ghost. It was so fun. Mm-hmm. And they treated me with respect. They paid me well. And I remember that experience. And that's what I want them to take away from it. And just to be able to change all these kids' lives and have something fun for them that they could say, guess what I did? I built longboards when I was when they're my age. Yeah. My first job is I worked at a skate company.
Oh my gosh. That's just so, first off, thank you so much for even sharing all of those things. It's interesting because this podcast, I've had the opportunity to talk to some really incredible people that have done some really incredible things, but it's cool because you're getting to that point where you realize what is the point of all of this if we're not actually helping people, if we're not actually making a difference in people's lives. Yep. This literally is a vehicle, but this is also the vehicle for like you said, like helping people that have struggled in depression and things like that. I think that's such an important piece. I actually just have like a few more questions, a few more things. Yep. One of the things I wanted to talk to you a little bit about and just kind of ask you, you had mentioned, hey, it was an addiction. The work was such an addiction. And now you're able to kind of step back and be like, okay, I need to repair my relationship with my kids and everything like that. What is the thing that brings you the greatest sense of joy right now?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things with that. One is for you to help others, you have to find peace within yourself.
Mm.
You have to be able to internally be able to be happy yourself before you can help others. And one is, I think I've found something that really makes me happy. And it's a couple of things. It's not just making this product or doing this. It's actually be able to help kids and teenagers and others, and be able to provide work for others. And the blessing I think we had of helping out even those other machine shops in the beginning.
Yeah.
They told us that we were a blessing in their lives. And what a cool feeling that is to say, man, we helped someone.
Yeah.
B is be able to find my addictions and work through them and find a way out, and be able to fix myself.
Yeah.
Again, I can't help others if I can't fix myself first.
Right.
And I've learned, I'm 50 years old now, and I still feel like I'm 17.
Yeah.
Because I hang out with 17-year-olds every day.
Yeah.
So I act their age most of the time.
Perfect.
So I love to go out and ride. I love the freedom. I love that feeling. I love the opportunity that I get to try to find that balance back in my life. And there's days that you don't have that. There's not always perfect days.
Yeah.
In any addiction, I think that people are still going to have bad days, and I'll still have my bad days, but I have great days. I promised my kids I could go on vacation without ghost boards, and I've done 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from a Mexico cruise.
Awesome.
About 2 weeks ago, and I didn't bring a board with me.
Okay.
And I did not, and right before that, we did the Dominican Republic, and I didn't bring a board.
Mm.
And so I've done 2 vacations now with my kids, and that was my promise to them, that I could actually go somewhere, even though those places would have been really cool.
To ride with a board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to have a board there,
Of course.
But I made them that promise that I can separate ghost boards and family, that I'm not just ghost boards.
That you're not identified with ghost boards. It's a beautiful thing, and it's blessed a lot of people's lives, but that's not who you completely are.
Yeah. And it's still a journey for me.
Of course.
I'm still on that recovery of being a workaholic. I have, and I know what it is. I've identified it. I even go to therapy.
Yeah.
I've gone to therapy with my son to talk about ghost boards.
Wow.
And to make sure it's still not affecting him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can have a relationship with him without ghost boards.
I love that, man.
Yeah. And so, my kids are all invited. They all do work for the company, but I don't put expectations on them above anyone else. And so if they don't want to work, I'm fine with it. If they want to work more hours, they can do it. So that's probably the hardest thing probably for me about this business, or that open up is I love what I do now. I wake up each day. I don't think I have a job. I think I have something that we have this cool invention, and I have this cool journey and things I want to do, and continue growing it. But I don't want it to become who I'm identified as a person. I want to be me. And my partner's always done a great job of that. He's always been able to separate, and I'm learning a lot from him.
That's beautiful.
And I used to get mad at him. He wasn't like me. And now I'm realizing I need to be more like him. And so my wife is my coach, and she teaches me when I overstep boundaries, and when I need to be able to put my phone down, stop answering DMs, and be able to take a break from it, because it is never ending. I could sit on my phone 24 hours, and questions and comments and things come through. And I don't ever look at social media. It's weird. I think different than most people. They go there to just scroll and look at stuff. Social media to me is 100% a business.
Oh, totally.
I'm there. I'm only in there to sell and to promote and to show. And I look at it different than most teenagers. I watch the scroll, look. I'm like, what are you doing that for? You're not. I only do that when I'm
Yeah.
looking for my board and looking to repost
Right.
an answer.
Yeah.
So I don't have the addiction of being on social media like most people. I have it on the other aspect
on the
of it.
aspect of stuff of
Is
just
keep
working.
marketing and growing. How do I catch that giant in front of me? How do I get to, that be the biggest longboard company in the world?
But I do think though, like, it's interesting, and I unfortunately I actually have to wrap up.
Yep.
But I was going to tell you this one thing real quick. You said something that really struck a chord with me, which is you've identified how to be at peace with yourself. And I think that's the key to all of this stuff. I moved to LA to be an actor, and I was like, I want to be an actor. I want to be in all this stuff, And you know what? I was on my way. Like, I had booked some really cool TV shows, and my agent was really happy with me, and I started doing shows like Criminal Minds and all these things, and it was all going. It's like what Casey's doing, right?
Yeah.
And yet I found that peace was being robbed from me.
Yeah.
And I realized, wait a minute, peace, that is not there right now. Why is it not there? And as I start identifying what makes me come alive and what makes me feel peaceful, it wasn't about being like this huge Hollywood actor. It wasn't that at all. It was just about I would use acting as the means of being a good person and like helping other people out, So I just wanted to thank you, man. Like, thank you so much for coming in and like for spending some time with me and talking about this stuff. How can we promote you? Like, what can we do? I mean, obviously we're going to promote this podcast and we want to promote the story. We want to promote Ghost Boards. But what can we do for you?
I think the biggest thing is just networking and always meet new people. I think you never know who knows who.
Yeah.
And that's so fun. I think about what I've enjoyed is I meet people now all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's the neatest thing, now we're in stores in Saudi Arabia and
it's so wild.
Thailand, and we got them in Mexico. It's like, and India and Brazil, and you're thinking, it's so neat, just network and get to know people. And I think that's the most important thing in business is the networking and to be real with people. Don't be a salesman that's trying to sell you some snake oil.
Yeah.
Or an MLM or whatever it is I want to be true to who I am, what I have, and be proud of it. Yeah. And I am today. I'm proud of what we are and who I am. Yeah. And I'm still on my way to still network and meet great people and how I can always help them too. It's if I could share the story with as many people as I could, I think it's great to let people know if you're going into a business, man, look out. There's hard times, fun times, and crazy times. And you got to first start with yourself and be okay. Yeah. That what roller coaster ride you're going to get on, that you are buckled in. Yeah. And those around you don't forget their perspective of what's going on. Yeah. And I think that's important.
That's awesome. Seriously, that's such great advice. And thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been awesome. And honestly, as we're talking, I like my mind is spinning because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to introduce him to this. I got to introduce him to that. So don't worry. These conversations are going to continue going on after this podcast. So
no, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Russ. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much and have a great day.